Let the journey of discovery begin. Mosasaurus. The Mosasaurus was a colossal predator that ruled the oceans during the Cretaceous period around 145 million years ago. According to scientists, it went extinct about 65 million years ago. Yet, one question remains. Could this prehistoric monster still lurk in the depths of the oceans today? Most of the scientific community believes it's highly unlikely. If it were alive, fishermen would have surely spotted it. And what would it eat to survive? Still, some believe that a few mosasaurs might remain hidden in unexplored parts of the deep sea. After all, 80% of the ocean floor remains uncharted by humans. A realm where countless strange creatures, perhaps including mosasaurs, may still dwell. So, what exactly was the Mosasaurus? While dinosaurs ruled the land, mosasaurs dominated the seas. They had long bodies, powerful tails, short paddle-like fins, and massive heads filled with fearsome teeth. These features allowed them to glide through the water with authority, devouring nearly anything they wanted. Though they resembled dinosaurs, mosasaurs were actually marine reptiles, more closely related to water snakes than to dinosaurs. Their size is thought to rival that of the megalodon shark. Although no one has ever confirmed a modern sighting, some claim that the Loch Ness Monster could be a surviving mosasaur hidden in the lake for centuries. Other unidentified sea creatures spotted around the world may also point to this ancient predator. The Antarctic icefish. The Antarctic icefish is one of the strangest creatures, not just in the polar regions, but on the entire planet. It is the only vertebrate in the world without red blood cells. Its blood is as clear as glass, and even its heart is white. First, biologists believe this was an adaptation to the cold, oxygen-rich waters of Antarctica. They theorized that the fish could absorb enough oxygen through its gills and thin skin without needing red blood cells. However, later research suggested that the loss of hemoglobin might not be an evolutionary advantage, but rather a bizarre genetic defect. The icefish's blood carries only about 10% of the oxygen that normal fish can transport, forcing its body to undergo extreme changes to survive. Professor H. William Detrick, a marine and environmental scientist, explained that this species emerged around 77 million years ago and gradually adapted to the frigid Antarctic seas. During evolution, it developed antifreeze proteins that altered its genetic structure, eliminating the need for red blood cells by taking advantage of the high oxygen content in the water. Today, the icefish is an invaluable subject of medical research, particularly for studying anemia, since some of its genes share similarities with those of humans. It is also used in osteoporosis studies. Despite lacking hemoglobin, the icefish remains an incredibly resilient creature. The Antarctic octopus. The Antarctic octopus is yet another creature with bizarre blood. Many animals living in the freezing waters here seem to possess unique genetic mutations related to their blood. Harsh cold drives the body to evolve in extraordinary ways. If the icefish has a white heart, the Antarctic octopus has blue blood. According to Live Science, this octopus survives the icy conditions thanks to a special blue pigment in its blood. With temperatures around Antarctica ranging from -1.8 degrees Celsius to 2 degrees Celsius, transporting oxygen through the body is extremely difficult to adapt. The Antarctic octopus uses hemocyanin, a protein that turns its blood blue and prevents its body from freezing. Interestingly, it isn't limited to cold waters. Even at temperatures up to 10 degrees Celsius, it thrives thanks to its special circulatory system. This means it can tolerate climate changes better than many other species. In addition, This small octopus, like many other octopus species, also has venom. Its venom remains effective even in freezing environments, allowing it to hunt and paralyze prey regardless of the cold. Because of these unique traits, recent expeditions have been launched specifically to find and study this octopus with hopes that its venom could lead to new medical treatments for humans. The comb jelly. The comb jelly is one of the ocean's strangest creatures. Oval-shaped with 8 rows of tiny combs running down its body. It is stunning to behold. These comb-like structures beat rhythmically to propel the jelly through the water, refracting light to create dazzling rainbow effects. Commonly found in Antarctic waters, the comb jelly isn't just beautiful. It can expand its stomach to swallow prey half its own size, meaning it can eat almost anything it wants. Like other jellies, it has specialized organs, including chemical sensors to track prey and a statist to detect gravity, helping it orient itself despite having no eyes. The most unsettling fact about comb jellies: they eat their own kind. They have been observed attacking and slowly devouring other comb jellies, biting them piece by piece with specialized mouth structures. Fragile yet vicious. For the first time, scientists at the Monterey Bay Aquarium successfully raised spotted comb jellies in captivity. While not identical to the Antarctic species, they are closely related. Previously, comb jellies survived only a single day in tanks. Keeping them alive opens new opportunities to share specimens and research with aquariums worldwide. The mysterious monster in Russia. A strange and chilling creature was recently discovered by Russian soldiers on a beach on Sakhalin Island, a remote area in eastern Russia near Japan over 5,000 mi from Moscow. When it was found, no one could identify what it was. At first glance, it looked like a melted crocodile, but it clearly wasn't. It also wasn't a fish. Based on its bones and teeth, the creature seemed to have both skin and fur. But identification was nearly impossible because of its advanced state of decay. Local media reported that the monster was taken away by Russian special forces for research, and many believe that even if they identify it, they will never reveal its true nature to the world. Usually, scientists offer theories in cases like this, but this time, no one dared to make a confident guess. The creature measured about 15 feet long, had no limbs. Most of its body was an oyous tail, and its head looked like that of a crocodile. But it couldn't have been one. After all, how could a crocodile wash up on the far eastern coast of Russia? For now, it's just another unidentified sea monster that drifted ashore. Though taken for analysis, many suspect its remains have already been incinerated to conceal the truth. Atlantis rediscovered. A recent discovery near the Canary Islands has reignited interest in one of humanity's oldest mysteries. While no one can say for certain whether Atlantis truly existed, scientists have found something that may shed light on the origins of the legend. Reality itself is being reshaped by the surprise discovery of an underwater mountain. Researchers from the Spanish Geological and Mining Institute identified a massive submerged peak which they named Los Atlantis. This mountain lies east of the Canary Islands, spanning about 30 miles across with its base nearly 8,200 feet deep. Geologists believe the peak once rose above the water, forming a chain of islands like toes poking out of a bathtub. Researcher Luis Somoza suggests that these islands may have inspired the earliest versions of the Atlantis legend. When they sank, ancient people may have believed an entire civilization disappeared with them. The region's history runs far deeper. 56 million years ago, the area was home to intense volcanic activity. Over millions of years, The volcanoes quieted and the islands began to submerge. Evidence of these lost islands remains on the seafloor. Scientists have discovered buried beaches, coastal cliffs, and sand dunes now lying 200 feet underwater. Looking at the timeline, some of these beaches could easily have been inhabited by Stone Age people 12,000 years ago, a number that aligns closely with the writings of ancient Greek philosopher Plato, who said Atlantis sank about 9,000 years before his time, near the end of the Ice Age. Was Plato describing a real civilization? Or was it a blend of fact and myth? Some scholars believe he may have been influenced by real events, such as the eruption of the Thera volcano in 1500 BC, which wiped out the Minoan civilization of Greece. The catastrophic explosion shook the earth and submerged Minoan cities beneath the sea. This event happened 200 years before Plato's time. And of course, he had no videos to watch, only fragments of stories. Perhaps he also heard of submerged islands like Los Atlantis, while geologists have yet to find evidence of an actual civilization under the sea. That doesn't mean the sunken islands were never home to ancient people. It makes us wonder how many civilizations have the ocean swallowed in the last 10,000 to 20,000 years. The mysterious regenerating slug, a strange creature with the ability to regenerate, has been discovered, and it has scientists extremely excited. According to Scientific American, researchers in Japan were the first to document this groundbreaking phenomenon. They found 2 species of sea slugs, both capable of decapitating themselves and then regrowing their entire bodies from just their heads. Imagine being able to detach your head, throw away your old body, and grow a brand new one. It's almost impossible to believe. Even more astonishing, the regeneration process takes only about 2 weeks to complete. You might think plenty of animals can regenerate parts of their bodies. But what makes these slugs unique is that they don't just regrow a tail or a limb. They regrow their entire body. This is a level of regeneration never seen before in any other animal. Researcher Sayaka Mito says these sea slugs represent the most extreme form of regeneration ever recorded in nature. And there's something even stranger. Japanese scientists discovered that the slugs sometimes deliberately decapitate themselves. The detached head can survive for weeks using a photosynthesis-like process to produce nutrients to keep itself alive, while the discarded body remains alive for days or even months. Scientists are still trying to understand exactly how this regeneration happens, and why the slugs choose such an extreme method rather than sacrificing a smaller part of their body. The Antarctic hellfish, a terrifying new species of fish, has been discovered in Antarctica by scientists exploring the deepest layers of the icy continent. The expedition, named Expedition Antarctica, was a resounding success, revealing some of the strangest marine creatures on the planet. Leading the mission was scientist Andrew Stewart. With his expertise, the team uncovered numerous bizarre species living under the frozen waters. One in particular stood out, a fish so strange it looked like a tiny creature from hell. Pink, slimy, jelly-like, with bulging eyes and a tiny tongue sticking out. Stewart said, "This is exactly why I came to Antarctica, to see things like this." At first, no one knew what it was. After further study, they concluded it was a type of snailish resembling a tadpole and inhabiting only the coldest Arctic and Antarctic seas at depths of around 100 feet. About 400 species of snailish are known, with many more yet to be identified. Snailfish have also been recorded in the Mariana Trench, the darkest and coldest place in the ocean. While the hellfish Stewart found hasn't yet been officially classified as a new species, it will likely soon join the catalog of marine life. The bloodthirsty monster. Osama the crocodile. Uganda is home to Osama, the crocodile that terrorized Lake Victoria, and is considered one of the most fearsome man-eaters of all time. It is blamed for the deaths of over 80 local villagers, earning a reputation as a bloodthirsty monster. The locals named it Osama, comparing it to a terrorist. Its strength was so terrifying that it seemed to be waging war against the entire village of Luga, a small community along the lake's edge. Some even believed Osama was the embodiment of evil itself. The village would have been an ideal place to live if not for the massive man-eating creatures lurking in the lake. Osama was estimated to be around 75 years old. From 1991 to 2005. It single-handedly killed nearly 1/10 of the local population. The horrifying stories spread far and wide of children snatched from the shore, boats overturned and fishermen devoured, and of relentless attacks carried out without hesitation. In an interview with the Sydney Morning Herald, a survivor recounted how he and his younger brother were rowing across the lake when Osama suddenly surfaced, seized his brother, and dragged him under. Days later, villagers only recovered the victim's head and one arm. Osama not only capsized boats, but could also leap onto decks to snatch victims. Rumors spread that the beast was immortal. Finally, in 2005, it was captured after a week-long ambush, when villagers witnessed it attack and swallow a 12-year-old boy. They could no longer endure the terror. Wildlife officers and locals set a trap at its usual hideout, a place chillingly nicknamed the slaughterhouse. It took more than 50 men to haul the monster away. Instead of being killed, Osama was handed over to Uganda Crocs, limited to serve as a breeding crocodile for their program. The company supplies crocodile leather to the luxury fashion industry. While animal rights groups protested the idea that Osama might end up as handbags, the villagers felt it was far too lenient for the horrors it had caused. The giant forest ape. While two men were taking a walk through the woods in Ohio, they may have been stalked by a mysterious creature. This was a trail they had hiked many times before without incident. But this time was different. As they passed through Salt Fork State Park, they came face to face with a strange ape-like figure that, according to their description, resembled the legendary Bigfoot or Sasquatch. The witnesses reported that the creature had the classic features of Bigfoot. It was covered in hair, walked on two legs, and had an awkward ape-like gait that was terrifying to behold. Not everyone believes their story. Some say the men fabricated the encounter for attention. But one has to wonder, why would two ordinary people invent such a tale when they had nothing to gain from it? They even withheld their full identities for privacy, showing they had no intention of attracting publicity. Moreover, Salt Fork was listed among the top 10 places to spot Sasquatch in 2012, suggesting there might indeed be something unusual there. Many others have reported encounters with Sasquatch in this park, including Nathan Gray from Winterette, who shared his chilling experience of coming face to face with the creature at a forest crossroads. The moment Nathan saw it, the beast vanished instantly. What frightened him the most was not the sighting itself, but the way it disappeared without a trace, leaving him uncertain of where it was and whether it might attack from behind at any moment. The antenna beneath Antarctica. Imagine a mysterious antenna standing tall on the ocean floor, thousands of meters beneath the icy waters of Antarctica. It sounds like something straight out of a science fiction movie, doesn't it? Yet, this is a real-life mystery that has baffled scientists and fueled alien conspiracy theories for decades. The story began in 1964 when the research vessel USNS Eltonin photographed the seabed near Antarctica. Suddenly, they captured an image that sparked endless debate. a strange antenna-like structure rising from the deep known as the Eltanin antenna. It looked exactly like an old-fashioned television antenna, something you'd expect to find on top of a television, not at a depth of over 11,800 foot underwater. Naturally, questions poured in. Was this a secret government project? The remains of a lost ancient civilization or extraterrestrial technology? Writer Brad Steiger once stated in Saga magazine that the USNS Eltanin had photographed a unique machine resembling a hybrid between a television antenna and a measuring device. Alien theorists immediately seized on this, claiming it was undeniable evidence of extraterrestrial activity. Former New Zealand pilot Bruce Cathy also insisted it was an alien artifact, a belief shared by many. Mainstream scientists dismissed all such claims, arguing that the antenna was not a machine at all. The official explanation is that it was actually a species of carnivorous sponge, specifically Cladorhiza concretans or something similar. These sponges have unusual shapes, and in photographs, they appear eerily mechanical. You might think just a sponge, but the deep ocean is full of surprises. Even if it's not an alien outpost, this discovery remains extraordinary. The craters at the bottom of Lake Michigan. A strange phenomenon has appeared at the bottom of Lake Michigan, one that scientists cannot yet explain, but are eager to study. In 2022, researchers used sonar to map the lakebed and were stunned by what they saw. The images revealed numerous pockmarks scattered across the bottom resembling large craters. At the time, no one was sure what they were. 2 years later, scientists confirmed that the marks were indeed massive depressions, similar to impact craters on the surface of the moon. It was as if the cosmos had hurled dozens of small meteors into Lake Michigan. But the story gets more complicated. When these craters were first detected 2 years ago, the scientists hadn't been searching for holes at all. No one goes out looking for holes. They were conducting a mission to locate shipwrecks. The team's goal was to map 36 known wreck sites within the Wisconsin Shipwreck Coast National Marine Sanctuary, a protected area where many vessels have sunk. Marine archaeologist Russ Green stated that these craters were highly unusual. They lie in extremely deep water, about 500 feet below the surface. According to previous records, no one had ever seen them before. They appeared as if overnight. Some of the craters measure up to 1,000 feet across, and there are at least 40 of them. What could explain this phenomenon? Could they be sinkholes? Some scientists believe the lakebed is forming new caverns, and that these holes may eventually expand into caves and tunnels within the underlying limestone. For now, however, this mystery remains unsolved. The ancient army buried beneath the lake. Here is a story for you. Ancient warriors, World War II, modern ditch diggers, and a grim mystery of violence and death. In Denmark, beneath the still waters of Lake Elkanen, lies a battlefield frozen in time. But this was no ordinary battlefield. It is the site of a massacre. Silent evidence of a brutal conflict that took place over 2,000 years ago. The story began in 1944 at the height of World War II when ditch diggers on the Jutland Peninsula accidentally uncovered human bones. The area is now a bog, but in ancient times it was a lake. An important detail for what came later. Finding human bones in 1944 wasn't unusual. Mass graves were scattered across Europe. But there was something different about these remains. They were far too old. With the war raging, no one had time to investigate. 12 years later, in 1956, another team of ditch diggers uncovered more human bones. This time, archaeologists were able to step in. The war had ended. Europe was recovering. And archaeology was advancing. Denmark launched a full-scale excavation of the Alsenbog. What they found was horrifying. The entire field was a mass grave. The skeletons bore marks of savage injuries, slashes, crushed skulls, and punctures from spears and arrows. It was clear these men had died violently. The bones were dated to the Iron Age, likely the 1st century CE. Evidence suggested this was the aftermath of a battle between Germanic tribes during a period of great upheaval in northern Europe. At that time, the Roman Empire was expanding northward, clashing with Germanic warriors defending their homelands. This may have been the result of a forgotten battle, where the victors simply dumped their enemies' bodies into the nearby lake. But the mystery deepened when scientists re-examined the bones in the 21st century. They found signs that the corpses had been scavenged by foxes and wolves, meaning they were left on the battlefield for more than a year before being collected and thrown into the lake. Why were the bodies left to rot? Was it meant as a warning to their enemies? Or was it part of an ancient ritual? One of the most famous battles of this era was the Battle of Teutoburg Forest, where 3 Roman legions were annihilated by Germanic tribes. The battle at Alsen may have been equally fierce, even if it was never recorded in history. When the excavation ended, archaeologists realized they had more questions than answers. The truth remains a mystery. But the Alcanan battlefield offers a haunting glimpse into the brutal reality of Iron Age warfare, reminding us that history is often written in blood, and that the most peaceful landscapes can hide the darkest secrets. The Ghost Ship of the Pacific. In 2024, off the coast of California, underwater archaeologists rediscovered a legendary wreck. It was a ghost ship, a destroyer that had once served in both the United States Navy and the Imperial Japanese Navy. This is a story worth telling. The USS Stuart began its first voyage in 1919, named after legendary Admiral Charles Stuart, who commanded warships during the War of 1812. The vessel served as part of the Asiatic Fleet by the time World War II broke out, patrolling waterways around the Philippine Islands and the coast of China. In 1942, the USS Stuart took part in the Battle of Batong Strait near Bali, where it suffered heavy damage. The ship was taken to a floating dry dock in Surabaya for repairs, but the facility was repeatedly bombed by enemy aircraft. Naval commanders had no choice but to scuttle the vessel and abandon the dock, believing the ship to be lost forever. The U.S. Navy struck the USS Stuart from its records and reassigned its name to a new escort ship. What the U.S. Navy didn't know was that the original Stuart had survived. The Imperial Japanese Navy salvaged the hull, repaired it, and returned it to service under their flag. A daring and cunning move. Soon, U.S. naval intelligence began receiving reports of a ghost ship prowling the Pacific. A vessel that looked unmistakably American, but sailed under Japan's rising sun. You might expect a dramatic rescue mission to reclaim the ship, but reality was far less cinematic. By 1945, as the war neared its end, the USS Stuart was discovered abandoned in Hiro Bay near Kure. The Japanese had left it behind. The United States recovered the vessel, brought it home, and its fate was sealed. After its long and extraordinary life, the USS Stuart was used as a target for aerial gunnery practice. It was finally sunk by F-6 Farragut Hellcat fighters off the coast of California, resting at a depth of about 300 feet. Now, it has been found once again. You might think the story ends there, but a joint team from NOAA and Search used unmanned submersibles to locate the wreck, finding the USS Stuart still standing upright on the seafloor, almost intact. as if waiting for the day it will rise again. The Way Lake Monster. For hundreds of years, legends have told of a giant snake living in the Catawba River in South Carolina. But a recent blurry photograph may be the latest evidence that this monster is real. While spending a weekend at Sunset Point on Lake Way, a woman suddenly saw the head of a massive water snake rise from the lake surface. Behind it, a long wake stretched across the water, suggesting a body at least 5 to 6 feet long. The woman, Jessica Plate, initially thought she was looking at a dog, a deer, or even a diver. But as she observed the way it moved through the water, she realized she was witnessing an aquatic predator. It couldn't have been an alligator. Alligators don't swim like that. The only reasonable conclusion: a powerful giant snake. Even more remarkable is that Jessica knew nothing about the local legends. She wasn't searching for the monster. She just happened to see it. Like many crypt sightings, we cannot say for certain what it was. Locals have told stories of a giant water snake for centuries, describing it alternately as a massive eel or a monstrous sea serpent. Yet to this day, Jessica's blurry photo remains the closest thing to physical evidence we have. The magical disc from the ancient world. Magic may be closer than we think. In Israel, a lifeguard stumbled upon a rare artifact that might carry a trace of mystical energy. The object is believed to be linked to a sorcerer who lived over 2,500 years ago. The man at the center of this story is David Shalom, a beach lifeguard who loved basking in the sun and helping swimmers. One morning, while taking a swim, David discovered a marble disc underwater. It looked like a stone frisbee clearly crafted from rock. David brought the strange object to shore, realizing it might be of historical value. What he didn't expect was that he was holding a magical charm. He contacted the Israel Antiquities Authority, which analyzed and confirmed that the disc was a protective talisman dating back to the 5th century B.C. Such artifacts were common among ancient sailors who tied marble discs to their ships, hoping they would guard against bad luck, evil spirits, or dark magic. Unfortunately, the charm didn't seem to work as intended. It may have been enchanted by a sorcerer, shaman, or priest. But despite its protective purpose, the ship it belonged to ultimately sank, evidence being the disc's discovery in the Mediterranean Sea. Archaeologists believe it came from a wreck, and that many more artifacts may still lie buried under the sand. The Kraken and the giant eggs. Recently, an underwater robot captured an extraordinary scene, one you don't see every day. Here's a hint. It has more arms than you. The robots, far from being scary themselves, were operated by scientists from the Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute during a survey off the coast of California. It was there that the robot Doc Ricketts encountered the legendary Kraken. What it actually filmed was a massive deep-sea squid. Its body blood red, enormous, and veined enough to haunt anyone who saw it. But what made the footage even stranger was that this squid was a mother squid cradling a cluster of giant eggs. A mother ready to defend her unborn offspring at any cost. You could call it a giant squid. But scientists haven't yet identified its exact species. They believe it might belong to the family Gonnet, a group known for carrying large eggs. Typically, gonate squids guard eggs around 2 in diameter. That may not sound huge compared to a chicken egg, but in the squid world, it's enormous. What's even more remarkable is that the eggs this mother squid carried were nearly twice the usual size, about half an inch larger, comparable to the difference between a chicken egg and an ostrich egg. Stranger still, most Ganata squids lay about 3 000 eggs at a time, while this one was protecting only around 30. Though not the mythical kraken itself, this mother squid remains a true superstar of the deep ocean. The monkey in the thunderstorm, a mysterious creature, has recently been seen prowling the streets of Texas. One terrified witness described it as looking like a monkey, while another claimed it resembled a chimpanzee. Whatever it was, all witnesses agreed on two things. It had a humanoid form and it was bloodthirsty enough to hunt pets. The creature seems to be hiding somewhere, snatching cats and frightening children. Patricia Dura called the police early one morning after waking in the middle of the night to the sound of thunder and flashes of lightning. Amid the chaos outside, she heard strange noises by her window. When she peeked through the curtains, she froze in fear. There was a monkey. It appeared to be searching for something. Patricia quickly shut the curtain to avoid being seen and rushed to call the police. But by the time they arrived, the creature had vanished. The next day, another woman called authorities after being trapped inside her car, while a giant monkey tried to attack her. She remained inside for 20 minutes until the animal finally left. Once again, when the police arrived, there was no trace of the creature. Other residents also reported sightings. Some claimed it tried to snatch their house cats, while others said a child had been attacked. So far, the mysterious humanoid beast remains at large in Santa Fe, Texas. Some believe it's just a real monkey, perhaps an escaped pet or one that broke free from a zoo. But whatever it is, it's spreading chaos. Who knows? Maybe it's a distant relative of Bigfoot, the transparent mud blob. At a depth of 10,000 feet beneath the Antarctic ice, scientists discovered a creature that left them speechless. In the waters of Antarctica, aboard the research vessel RV Tangaroa, an international team used advanced technology to scan the seafloor, an area nearly as deep as the Swiss Alps are tall. Although this region is nearly devoid of life, the scientists were determined to explore. They deployed a special device that dragged nets across the seafloor at those crushing depths. After 6 grueling hours, they hauled up 10 buckets full of mud and a single fish. But this fish turned out to be a blob of slimy jelly-like mud. Soft, sticky, and almost transparent. In the high-pressure environment of the deep sea, it might have looked completely different. But when brought to the surface, it was just a shadow of itself. According to marine biologist Karen Schnabel from New Zealand's Institute of Water and Atmospheric Research, this creature has never been documented before. No one knows how many of them exist beneath the thick layers of mud or how common they might be. Nothing like it has ever been seen. It might be a type of sea cucumber, but without more specimens or further research, there is no way to know. The giant ground sloth. About 500 years ago, something extraordinary happened. Almost overnight, all the largest animals on Earth vanished. And to this day, they have never returned. The Irish elk, woolly mammoth, saber-toothed tiger, and even the giant ground sloth, all gone as if they had never existed. However, some species survived longer than others. For example, woolly mammoths lived a few centuries more by hiding out on remote islands. The giant ground sloth is believed to have endured for an additional 5,000 years by retreating deep into the Amazon rainforest. To this day, science has no definitive explanation for this mass extinction. Most theories link it to the end of the Ice Age and dramatic climate change. But here's the intriguing part. Some believe one of these species may still be alive today. The giant ground sloth. Amazonian tribes have passed down stories of a monstrous creature for generations. Even in modern times, there are reports of a beast over 7 feet tall with sharp claws, tangled fur, and a roar like thunder. These descriptions match Mechtherium, the ancient sloth that looked nothing like today's slow tree-dwelling species. Standing up to 13 foot tall, it used its claws to dig massive burrows. In the Amazon, it is known as the mapinguari, a creature said to be smelled long before it is seen. It moves extremely slowly, but has survived over 5 million years thanks to its enormous size and formidable defenses. Stranger still, many people claim to have seen it with their own eyes. Scientist David Oren believes he is close to proving its existence. On numerous expeditions, locals, rubber tappers, and hunters have described a creature over 7 feet tall, weighing more than 400 pounds with black or reddish fur. According to David, witnesses say it is shy but fiercely aggressive if threatened. It emits a strange sound like a jet engine skimming the ground and leaves claw-shaped tracks behind. No one can say for certain, but it's entirely possible that the giant ground sloth still survives, clinging to life in the deepest reaches of the rainforest. The black hole, the pit of doom. There is a cave so dark and cold that I wouldn't wish to send even my worst enemy down there. Not even if they were a professional diver. It is an underwater world where the skeleton of a young girl was once found. Scientists call this place the black hole. To reach this underwater nightmare, you must travel deep into the jungles of Mexico's Yucatan, far from any tourist path in an untouched wilderness. The entrance to this sinkhole lies about 3 miles from the Caribbean coast. It drops 150 feet straight down into a cave so black that you can barely see your own fingers. Because of this darkness, the locals call it the black hole. In 2007, 3 Mexican cave divers were exploring the deeper parts of the cave when their flashlights caught something. A human skull lying upside down on a rock. Its teeth grinning. Its empty eye sockets staring back at them. One of the divers, Alberto Nava, said he felt as though the skull's eyes were actually watching him. The last thing anyone wants to see while swimming is a human head like that. How did this skull end up here? The answer is astonishing. Underwater archaeologists recovered the skull along with the rest of the skeleton. Analysis revealed it belonged to a teenage girl who lived 13,000 years ago. One of the oldest and most complete human skeletons ever found in the Americas. Scientists nicknamed her Nia, meaning water nymph in Greek. At the time of her death, the black hole cave was dry. Nia was likely around 15 years old when she died. Researchers believe she may have entered the cave searching for fresh water. She carefully navigated the dark passageways, but couldn't avoid tragedy. Nia fell into the deadly pit, ending her short life. The cave later flooded, sealing her remains underwater for more than 8,000 years until its discovery. Nia's family probably never knew what happened to her. And she wasn't the only creature to meet her end in the black hole. Scientists also found the bones of 26 large animals near where her skull was located. Creatures that seemed straight out of Jurassic Park. Saber-toothed tigers, giant ground sloths, and ferocious cave bears. All of them may have fallen into the pit while searching for water. Just like the unfortunate young girl. The lost coin of the moon goddess. A small bronze coin is offering archaeologists a rare glimpse into the past. The coin had been lying underwater for 850 years. And the face engraved on it is stunning. It was found off the coast of Haifa, Israel. Not much is known about its discovery. Only that it was pulled from the waves. The Israel Antiquities Authority quickly secured it and announced this was the first coin of its kind ever found off Israel's shores. So, what makes it special? If you're a collector of ancient coins, you might have guessed. Each side of this coin tells a story. One side bears the image of Luna, the Roman moon goddess, alongside the zodiac sign Cancer. The other side carries the mint date, the 8th year of Emperor Antoninus Pius's reign, or 144 CE. This opens two lines of exploration: the moon goddess and the emperor. Starting with Antoninus Pius. He is remembered as one of Rome's most successful rulers, not for his flamboyant personality, but for his steady leadership. He ruled during the Pax Romana, Rome's golden age of peace and prosperity, from 27 B.C. to 180 CE. The empire flourished. Its cities thrived. His reign was unique for recording no major uprisings, something unprecedented in Roman history. He lived to the age of 74, worked tirelessly for peace, and even improved relations with the Jewish people by repealing harsh laws imposed by his predecessor, fostering friendships with Jewish priests after the destruction of Jerusalem. The site of the coin depicting the moon goddess is equally fascinating. Researchers believe it was part of a series of 13 coins minted under Antoninus, each featuring a different zodiac sign for collectors. The 13th coin even depicted the entire zodiac circle. Anyone lucky enough to possess the full set would own one of the most valuable ancient coin collections in history. The Goat Man. About 50 years ago at Lake Worth in Texas, a photograph was taken that launched one of the most famous horror legends. Witnesses claimed to have seen a creature that was half man, half goat. It stood at least 7 feet tall, weighed close to 350 pounds, was covered in hair, and had scales. Many people saw it dart across the fields. One person snapped a photo, but all it showed was a blurry white figure shaped like a man. The creature became known as the Goat Man, and since 1969, it has remained a nightmare for the residents of Lake Worth. When Goat Man first appeared, even the police were baffled. A frenzied mob of villagers gathered, determined to deal with the monster, meaning they intended to hunt it down and burn it alive. Reports claimed locals drove pickup trucks everywhere, chasing anything that moved. The scene was pure chaos. In the end, Goat Man vanished without a trace, with thousands of acres of dense forest surrounding the lake. Could have easily escaped. Since that year, no one has seen Goat Man again. Maybe those people had been drinking too much homemade moonshine and mistook a deer for a monster. Or perhaps Goat Man simply returned to its lair. Who knows when or if it will ever appear again. The mysterious goblin. A strange goblin-like creature was recently caught on a home security camera. Vivian Gomez woke up on a Sunday morning and checked the overnight footage from her yard cameras. What she saw nearly made her spit out her breakfast. A small skinny figure with thin legs, floppy dog-like ears, and seemingly no clothes was wandering across her front yard, as if it were out to check the mail. Oddly, only one of her 3 cameras captured the image, while the other 2, working perfectly fine, showed nothing at all. Of course, many claimed it was just a hoax, but Vivian insisted the footage was 100% real. Why would I go through the trouble of faking a goblin just to get attention? She asked. While some people have staged crazier things for fame, she swears the creature actually appeared at her home, and it hasn't returned since. Maybe it was a prank. But the public went wild with theories. It clearly wasn't a wild animal. It walked on 2 legs. Could it have been a neighborhood child? Perhaps. But it didn't look human. Some say it was Dobby, the house elf from Harry Potter. Others believe it was an alien that had wandered away from its ship, whatever it was, until someone sees it again. The truth remains unknown. The Hellenistic fortress. Archaeologists recently uncovered a Hellenistic fortress at Cape Tyosa along Bulgaria's Black Sea coast, offering a new window into ancient Greek life thousands of years ago. The fortress stretches about 500 feet, surrounded by solid stone walls and a large moat measuring 4 feet deep and 12 feet wide. Numerous artifacts were found near the cape, including 260 pottery fragments, 40% of which were Theocere from the Eastern Balkans. Other pieces such as amphors originated from the island of Cs in the Ion and the Hellenistic center of Pergamum, lacking organic material for carbon dating. Experts relied on craftsmanship styles to estimate the site's age to the 1st or 2nd century B.C. Some artifacts date to the 4th to 6th century C, suggesting the site was in use for an extended period. The fortress may have been one of several fortifications defending Cape Churukman, forming a tightly coordinated defense network. Evidence also suggests the site may have once housed a religious temple. Both types of structures were common in the ancient world. But this discovery helps archaeologists better understand the expansion and military power of the Greek world. Between 1962 and 1965, explorer and pioneering oceanographer Jaco Cousteau tested whether humans could live long-term under the sea. Sponsored by the oil industry, the project called Prehistoric aimed to prove that humans could stay in underwater habitats for weeks, accelerating marine research. The first underwater village, Prehistoric 1, was established in the Bay of Marseilles, France, at a depth of 36 feet, equipped with radios, telephones, television, a library, beds, a music player, and video monitoring. It housed 2 divers for a 2-week trial. Prehistoric 2 launched in 1963, pushing the idea further. About 22 miles from the port of Sudan on a coral reef with a lagoon for supply ships. The main structure, the Starfish House, was anchored to the seabed with lead and cables. 8 members lived inside using bunk beds, tables, bathrooms, and technical equipment. There was also a small diving cabin for 2 people to alternate week-long stays. 25 other divers rotated in to clean, cook, and maintain the base. Of the 6 planned missions, only 3 were successful, and most of the structures have disappeared. Remaining features, such as the Sukip garage, belonged to Prehistoric. The main facilities were dismantled long ago, but remnants still linger: cabins with round windows and shark-proof cages now covered in coral. The ancient chicken egg. In 2016, scientists excavated a water-filled pit that had once been a wishing well in Buckinghamshire, England, and discovered a chicken egg dating back 700 years. It was one of 4 eggs found in the pit, but the only one still intact, making it the only complete Roman-era egg ever found in Britain. The other 3 broke, releasing a horrendous stench. Archaeologists also uncovered rare artifacts such as leather shoes, wooden tools, and baskets woven from oak and willow. Starting in the 3rd century CE, people threw objects into the well as offerings, turning it into a site of ritual prayer. Oxford archaeology concluded that the eggs were likely food offerings tossed into the water during rites. Experts announced the discovery in 2019 when Oxford Archaeology published a book on the artifacts from the well and the nearby Roman settlement at Fleet Marston. The book details all the items that had been hidden underwater for 700 years. The Apollo 11 rocket engines. When we think of the 1969 mission that took humans to the moon, Apollo 11 immediately comes to mind, along with the enormous Saturn V F1 engines that fell into the Atlantic Ocean after launch. In 2012, Jeff Bezos's team, Bezos Expeditions, used deep-sea sonar to detect two of these engines at a depth of 14,000 feet. Using remotely operated robots, they surveyed the wreckage, rusted machinery scattered after more than 40 years in saltwater. To know how intact the components were, they had to bring them to the surface. In March 2013, Bezos Expeditions successfully recovered parts of two massive engines. Out of the 67 F1 engines launched between 1967 and 1973. The next challenge was to confirm whether these were from Apollo 11. Months later, the team identified faint serial numbers on the components, proving these engines were indeed from the historic mission. The Queensland tiger, Australia, isolated from the rest of the world, is famous for its unique creatures. Nowhere else gathers so many animals that are both strange and dangerous. But its wildlife still holds many secrets. One such mystery is the Queensland tiger, also known as the marsupial lion. Those who claim to have encountered it describe a carnivorous striped animal about the size of a dog, resembling a wild cat. Records of this creature date back to pre-colonial times, with ancient maps even depicting the native lion. The most credible sighting occurred in 2005 when 4 Air Force personnel spotted a strange animal in a quarry during a night patrol. They reported finding tracks in the mud, and even captured an image using a night vision camera. Does the Queensland tiger truly exist? It could be the last remnants of an ancient species, or simply a case of mistaken identity. Until clear photos or hard evidence emerge, the question remains unanswered. One thing is certain: Australia still has many mysteries left to uncover. The wreck of Hilma Hooker. Resting on the seabed near Bonaire in the Caribbean lies the wreck of the Hilma Hooker, one of the region's 60 famous dive sites and perhaps the most controversial shipwreck of them all. Launched as Midsland in 1951, the vessel changed hands several times before being used for smuggling drugs. After sinking once near Dominica and being salvaged, it was renamed Hilma Hooker in 1979, when purchased by San Andreas Import and Export. In 1984, the ship experienced mechanical failure or steering loss off Bonaire. Authorities suspected smuggling and launched an investigation, revealing that both the FBI and Interpol had been tracking the ship for months. Inside a hidden compartment, they found 12 tons of marijuana and arrested the entire crew. The ship deteriorated while awaiting trial and after months of neglect, eventually sank. Officials had anticipated this and moved it to a safe location where it became a popular dive site still visited by divers today. The giant short-faced bear. The giant short-faced bear was a prehistoric predator that roamed across North America until surprisingly recently. According to scientists, it had a bulldog-like face and resembled other North American bears, but supposedly went extinct around 11,000 years ago. While mainstream science agrees it is extinct, some believe it may still survive in the vast wildernesses of North America and Russia. The most credible reports come from Canada, where the creature has allegedly been seen in the Northwest Territories, British Columbia, and Alberta. Witnesses describe it as so massive it could carry an entire moose, though no clear photographs exist. In Russia, locals on the Kamchatka Peninsula have also reported encounters with a beast they call the caterpillar bear. Zoologologist Nikolai Vereshchagin theorized that this mysterious animal could be a surviving short-faced bear. possibly having migrated from North America to Russia across the Bering Land Bridge over 10,000 years ago. Considering the remoteness of Siberia, the idea that a prehistoric bear might still be alive in the frozen wilderness isn't entirely far-fetched. The heatwave jellyfish. During the brutal heatwave of 2021, strange marine creatures were washed ashore on the beaches of England. Locals were stunned to find giant jellyfish, some reaching lengths of 6 feet, scattered across the sand. Scientists were even more shocked. They couldn't believe that barrel jellyfish, which typically inhabit much warmer waters, had appeared in England in mid-June. These creatures were so large that people mistook them for octopuses or even aliens. They were among the largest jellyfish ever to wash ashore in Britain, with each weighing up to 77 pounds heavier than many pets. While not deadly, their stings can still cause irritation. Their primary diet is plankton, which may have lured them into shallow waters to feed. Perhaps they didn't realize how massive they were and got stranded by waves. But why did so many wash ashore during the heat wave? Were they being cooked beneath the surface? The truth is, science still has no clear explanation. What is clear, however, is that this is a sign of changing ocean ecosystems. Scientists advise beachgoers to stay alert and avoid touching them. Even dead jellyfish can still sting and burn. The monster in the coal mine. In the small town of Van Meter, Iowa, a winged creature appeared from nowhere and spread terror. The story dates back to 1903 and lasted for several weeks. A group of townsfolk, including reported seeing a half-human, half-beast creature with enormous bat-like wings, standing over 9 foot tall. The creature emitted a foul stench and moved with incredible speed. According to one witness, it even glowed from a horn on its forehead, an unbelievable detail that has remained part of Van Meter folklore for more than a century. Local legend says the townspeople gathered to hunt the monster, but all attempts failed. Seemed immune to bullets. One day, they discovered it wasn't alone. It had brought with it a smaller creature, possibly its offspring. Cornered. Both flew into an abandoned coal mine near the town and were never seen again. Some believe the monster still hibernates underground, waiting for the day it will return to hunt. But what was it? A giant undiscovered bat? It's hard to say, especially when the events took place so long ago. The oldest water on Earth. The oldest water on Earth is even older than you might think. And it isn't where you'd expect. At first glance, it looks ordinary. But this ancient water excites scientists because they believe it may help unravel the origins of life. This ancient reservoir lies deep underground beneath the mine in Ontario, Canada. Scientists have determined that it is over 2 billion years old, dating back to a time long before sharks even existed. The water is found in the Kidd Mine, a massive base metal mining site and one of the largest sulfide ore deposits on the planet. Canadians have drilled nearly 2 miles down to extract metals. Kidd Mine is perhaps the closest you can get to the center of the Earth, both literally and figuratively. In 2013, scientists from the University of Toronto wondered whether they could find water hidden within the mine's labyrinth of tunnels. They eventually discovered a pool of water. Initial analysis showed it to be 1.5 billion years old, but they believed even older water might exist. By drilling deeper, 3 miles underground, they found an ancient underground stream still flowing. Samples were immediately collected and sent to laboratories for chemical analysis. The water contained traces of helium, argon, and neon gases that had dissolved over billions of years. These gases allowed scientists to determine its true age. setting the record as the oldest known water on Earth. So, how does this help us understand the origin of life? Researchers confirmed the ancient water could potentially support life. It may have sustained tiny organisms in isolation for 2 billion years. While much work remains, scientists see similarities between this underground water and subsurface lakes on Mars. If life can survive so deep below Earth's surface, perhaps microscopic creatures are swimming beneath Mars as well. The strange gargoyle. Norman Trumbull received a wildlife trail camera as a Christmas gift. He hoped to capture images of animals around his home in Maine. But what he didn't expect was to photograph something that reminded people of a legendary gargoyle. After setting up the camera, Norman was stunned to see a creature resembling a chupacabra, a mutant beaver, or some twisted thing lurking in the woods. He wasn't sure what it was. Times, it looked like a porcupine, but it had no quills. At other times, it resembled a fish or cat, but the shape didn't match. Adding to the mystery, the creature appeared only 130 feet from the home of horror author Stephen King. This sparked rumors that the creature might have escaped from some secret experiment inside King's eerie mansion. A project gone terribly wrong. The strange beast has never been identified. It might have been a sick animal. Still, better to stay cautious if you're near that area. Keep an eye out for a mysterious creature that could be lurking for blood. The underwater forest in the Gulf of Mexico. Off the coast of Alabama lies an ancient cypress forest buried beneath the sea for 600 years. This forest once stood on dry land, growing along the banks of a river. At the same time, early humans began migrating out of Africa. Over time, sediment buried the fallen trees, and rising sea levels eventually drowned the entire forest. It remained hidden for tens of thousands of years until Hurricane Ivan disturbed the seabed in 2004, revealing its secrets. Earlier this year, scientists announced that the trees might contain compounds capable of producing life-saving medicines. This claim followed a dive expedition in December 2019 funded by NOAA, during which divers collected wood samples miraculously preserved by millennia of burial under oxygen-free sediment. The wood still held secrets. From the samples, scientists identified more than 300 species of organisms, including a previously unknown shipworm species capable of producing over 100 types of bacteria. Many of them never before seen and now being analyzed for medical potential, such as new cancer treatments and painkillers. No one noted that a related bacterium from shipworms had already been used as an antibiotic against parasites. Researchers are also investigating the potential use of this ancient wood in paper production, renewable fuels, industrial chemicals, livestock feed, and more. The Ocean Atlas Underwater Sculpture. The world's largest underwater statue, Ocean Atlas, lies beneath the sea off the coast of Nassau. Installed in 2014, the sculpture depicts a young girl carrying the weight of the ocean on her shoulders, a modern nod to the Greek myth of Atlas, who bore the sky. Standing 16 feet tall and weighing over 60 tons, the statue was assembled piece by piece underwater. Artist Jason Decars Taylor designed, built, and installed the work using pH-neutral materials, allowing it to last indefinitely while transforming into an artificial reef. Ocean Atlas not only provides a new habitat for marine life, but also diverts tourists away from natural reefs already damaged by human activity, especially overfishing and excessive tourism. According to Taylor's website, with threats like habitat loss, ocean acidification, climate change, and pollution, the sculpture symbolizes the burden future generations must bear if humanity fails to act. The Muvich Emerald Scam. Hoping to strike it rich on sunken treasure. After the 2008 financial crisis, American diver and entrepreneur James Scovich devised an elaborate scheme in 2010. He planted 70 kilograms of emeralds near Key West, Florida, and then discovered them himself. This story could easily fill an episode of American Greed. Scovich persuaded several companies to invest in his salvage operation, while keeping the supposed discovery secret to avoid legal complications involving maritime treasure ownership laws. When news of the emeralds leaked, experts immediately questioned their authenticity because the location had no ties to any known shipwreck, and no evidence supported the claim. He should have done his homework. As lawsuits over ownership piled up and doubts grew, Scovich came under immense pressure and took his own life in 2013, leaving the emeralds ownerless. In 2014, investigators found that the stones were coated with modern epoxy, exposing the hoax. With Scovich gone, responsibility fell on the gem dealers who sold him the stones for failing to disclose their true origins. The Underwater Strip Club. In 2013, marine biologist Gil Kopitz revealed photos of an abandoned underwater strip club he discovered while researching off the coast of Israel. The location was once the Red Sea Star underwater restaurant, later converted into an exotic dance club. Its entrance was above the water, requiring guests to cross a 230-foot bridge and descend a staircase into the submerged venue. Kopit told the Huffington Post that although it's unclear when the Nyo Show bar closed, he managed to capture interior images through its glass windows, showing the central dance pole still standing once surrounded by tables and chairs that have since been removed. Strangely, almost no information exists about Nyo Show bar beyond what Kopit uncovered during his investigation. It appears to be the only underwater strip club ever to exist. The deadliest washed-up creatures. Hundreds of highly toxic sea creatures recently washed ashore at Muizenberg Beach in Cape Town, South Africa. These fish are deadlier than cyanide and can kill a human. The first to discover them was Dr. Tess Gridley from the UK, who was walking with her family when she stumbled upon hundreds of dead fish scattered across the sand. Though lifeless, they remained extremely dangerous, packed with neurotoxins capable of causing paralysis and respiratory failure if ingested. Local authorities warned residents to avoid the beach as these deadly carcasses could still cause fatal heart failure. Pets, particularly dogs, were at high risk if they accidentally bit into one. The South African Department of Environment identified them as demon-eyed pufferfish, the same highly poisonous species notorious in Japan, where only licensed chefs may prepare it. Eating improperly prepared portions can kill a person within minutes. Estimates suggested around 800 dead puffer fish per mile of shoreline, pointing to a massive die-off. Entire schools of fish had been washed ashore, and scientists still don't know why. Was it an underwater disaster, or just an unusual current driving them to the coast? The long-necked plesiosaur. In 1977, a Japanese fishing vessel may have accidentally hauled up the remains of a prehistoric creature. The crew of the Zuyo Maru operating off the coast of New Zealand dragged a massive carcass from 1,000 feet deep that many believe was the plesiosaur. When the crew saw the creature, they couldn't believe their eyes. A 33-t long, 2-ton monster lay before them. No one recognized what it was. Some thought it was a decomposing whale, while others guessed a giant turtle without its shell. In the end, profit outweighed curiosity. The captain decided to throw the carcass back into the ocean because it was too large and threatened to spoil the catch. The only evidence is a single photograph taken by a crew member before the remains were dumped. When the ship returned to Japan, the photo was submitted to the company and quickly spread. Some Japanese scientists declared it was indeed a plesiosaur, while many experts rejected the claim. To this day, no one knows for sure what the creature was. If it truly was a plesiosaur, it would have been one of the most extraordinary discoveries in history, since the species is believed to have been extinct for over 80 million years. The little dodo. The dodo is extinct. There's no question about that. On Mauritius, every last dodo disappeared after Dutch settlers arrived in the 1600s. Within 80 years, hunting and the introduction of dogs, cats, and rats wiped out the species, leaving only records in history books. But few know that a little dodo still survives in the Samoa Islands. This species, however, is teetering on the edge of extinction, just like its larger cousin. No one had seen one for years until last December when a juvenile was spotted perched on a tree branch. This gave hope that the species hasn't vanished completely. According to researcher Rebecca Sternan, the little dodo can fly. Unlike the classic dodo, which was flightless. Even so, it resembles a plump pigeon. Flight may not save it from extinction, and without urgent protection, the little dodo could soon follow its giant relative into the eternal shadows of history. The mysterious demonic creature. A bizarre demon-like creature has just been uncovered by archaeologists at a remote lake in Russia. The discovery took place in Siberia, where Russian scientists found the remains of an unusual being believed to have once lived in Lake Levanker. This lake lies deep within the Siberian wilderness, roughly 300 m from Moscow. What makes this so strange is that the scientists were actually searching for evidence of this very creature when their underwater scanners detected a massive skeleton resting at the bottom of the lake. According to one member of the research team, they initially considered many theories about what the creature could be since numerous people had reported sightings in the past. It was hard to deny that something had indeed lived in the lake. First, they assumed it might have been a large fish or perhaps an oversized reptile or even a strange amphibian species. But instead of confirming or dismissing any of these possibilities, the discovery only deepened the mystery. They were unable to clearly identify what the creature was. All they could call it was the skeleton of some kind of animal. This is one of those cases where no definitive conclusion can be reached. Science today is no closer to solving the mystery of Lake Levanker than it was when the investigation first began. The walking bread. There is an extraordinarily strange creature lurking on the ocean floor that scientists have nicknamed the walking bread, because it looks exactly like a large loaf quietly crawling across the seabed. In reality, it is a type of mollusk related to snails and clams equipped with a hard shell and an unusual set of teeth. According to recent research, its teeth contain an extremely rare form of iron known as Santa Barbarite. Scientist Dirk Garrow from Northwestern University revealed that this discovery was made entirely by accident. What's fascinating is that the teeth of the kitten, the scientific name of this creature, are 3 times harder than human teeth. This is surprising because human teeth are already among the hardest natural substances. Yet, the walking bread surpasses them by far. Each tooth is attached to a flexible radula, allowing it to scrape algae from rocks or other hard surfaces to feed. During this process, Santa Barbarite becomes an integral part of the tooth structure, making it both durable and lightweight, strong enough to grind through stone the way a beaver gnaw would. This is the only living creature in nature known to contain this mineral. Previously, it was only found in trace amounts within geological samples. For this reason, the kitten is now considered to have the strongest teeth in the entire animal kingdom. Even though it is just a small creature, it can still bite through rock to survive by feeding on algae. The extinct wolf, Reina Kambayashi, opened the door to her family's traditional wooden house in Saitama Prefecture, Japan, and was met with a shocking sight. Standing at the threshold, she saw a lone dog-like animal emerge from the bushes near the koi pond. They were only about 10 feet apart. But Rena was certain she had never seen any dog like this before. The creature stared at her for a few seconds and then vanished into the bamboo forest. Rena recalled that it had a long triangular snout, an unusually flat face, a straight tail, and fur that was black and brown. Its body was not particularly large, but it looked starved with its ribs showing clearly beneath the fur. To her, it resembled a wolf far more than any domestic dog. It turns out she may have encountered a species of wolf thought to have been extinct in Japan for over 100 years. In 1905, Malcolm Anderson was sent to Japan to collect specimens for the Zoological Society of London, where he purchased the carcass of what was believed to be the last captured Japanese wolf. Since then, the species has been officially declared extinct. However, rare sightings have been reported since the late 1990s and continue to this day. It's possible that a small population of these wolves has somehow survived in the remote forests of Japan. While the debate remains unresolved, many zoologists believe that a hidden pack might still roam these wilderness areas. Ningon. There may be a creature living in Antarctica that's almost too strange to believe a humanoid monster known as Ningon. According to numerous rumors, a few of these beings inhabit the icy waters surrounding the southernmost continent. Ningon is described as white in color, with some claiming it is a primate species that evolved the ability to breathe underwater. Some sightings describe Ningon with a mermaid-like tail, while others say it has hind limbs that allow it to move on land. If you've never heard of this creature, it's not surprising, as it isn't as famous as the Loch Ness Monster or Bigfoot. However, rumors of Ningon have circulated in Japan for years, particularly from fishing vessels operating in Antarctic waters. The Japanese are even said to have recorded evidence of its existence. But it wasn't until 2007 that the phenomenon was mentioned in a paranormal magazine. Some call Ningon the Antarctic Man, and there have even been alleged images of it on Google Maps. Unfortunately, or perhaps fortunately, most photos of Ningon are unconvincing. Eyewitness reports are rare, often describing the creature as a hybrid between a human and an ape, reaching nearly 100 feet in length with skin as white as a whale. Clearly, it's hard to believe that something larger than a blue whale could exist without being detected by scientists. If you found these mysterious stories fascinating, leave your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss our next discoveries.